There was no massive election fraud. There were no mass deaths from the COVID vaccine. There is no evidence that it was manufactured in a laboratory. They are now the deep state. They have every part of the government under control, and they have no evidence for any of their claims from there.
Sponsored by the Chinese Communist Party. I'm just curious.
30 minutes away. Chinese Communist Party. Sir, you are an absolute idiot. I can't believe you would say that.
Okay, guys, we have a really spicy one today with Destiny on a heated Piers Morgan panel debating MAGA over conspiracy, essentially, but specifically the COVID origin conspiracy that always triggers me so greatly, as you have to be so unattached from science to believe it. So leave us a like if you can. We're going to get into all of this. It helps us in the algorithm. It lets us know you enjoy it. And let's just hop right in.
I keep hearing people like Joe Rogan saying the conspiracy theorists ended up being right about everything. They weren't. They were wrong about basically every single thing. There was no massive election fraud. There were no mass deaths from the COVID vaccine. There is no evidence that it was manufactured in a laboratory. There is no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered by somebody. The reality is every single thing I said is true, and I will debate you on any platform over that.
So please stop. Virology you're saying wasn't true.
That's where you idea what you have no idea.
Well, hang on. Destiny, hang on. Destiny, hang on.
Please stop.
Stupid.
Hang on, Destiny.
Let me finish my point. Excuse me. Let me finish my point. The problem is that the problem is that you guys spent so much time spreading these conspiracies that when you finally wound up, sir, I don't even know if you know. Do you even believe that viruses and germs are real? I'm not actually sure. Please stop.
I totally agree with Destiny here, and the problem is these clowns have made these conspiracies such large parts of their personalities. It's almost symmetry breaking to their entire worldview to admit they're false, which is why many of them won't, even in the face of all evidence showing them that what they're thinking is crazy. Now, the COVID lab leak, you reached that place, right? But it's came back recently. And I don't know why these clowns all of a sudden feel like their beliefs have been vindicated. No new reporting has came out. We're in the same boat that we've been in, where it's unconfirmed, but 4 agencies in the intelligence community still believe natural causes. Only 2 believe the lab leak, and the entire scientific community believes the evidence points towards a natural spillover as well. The genomes are consistent with evolutionary pathways, not engineering. Its genetic features, like its codon usage, are seemingly naturally selected, not artificially. And there are environmental samples in animal stalls in Wuhan. Like, what is even the evidence of the contrary?
Conservatives spent all this time with all these conspiracies, and then as soon as they got into office and they no longer had a deep state to blame, all of a sudden there was no election fraud evidence. There was no evidence about Hunter Biden being conspiratorial, with Ukraine or Russia. There was no evidence of Epstein being murdered, and that's what's happened.
Okay.
They are now the deep state. They have every part of the government under control, and they have no evidence for any of their claims.
Here's the problem. You've made a series of statements there alleging that all these things are pure conspiracy theories and there's no evidence for it. And yet it is widely now accepted that actually it is more likely than not that the coronavirus, COVID-19, was started in that lab. That is now widely accepted. That's not a conspiracy theory.
It's not. That is a conspiracy theory.
Why do people say this? I'm literally losing my mind. Like, I don't know what thing in reality changed where these people feel like the scientific community agrees with them, or they're conspiracies that they literally don't. That one Google search could get you to the conclusion that they don't, or the most basic understanding of genetics or science or anything would understand you that they're insane to even think this. There is quite literally no scientific evidence that would indicate a lab leak. There's not even any good intelligence community evidence for it. Literally, the only comment the scientific community says is that it's plausible and that mutations can often come from lab spills. That's it. That's literally it. Aside from that, all evidence points towards natural formation. Why do people say things that are so false so confidently? Notice how these clowns listed no evidence, no facts to support their conclusions because they don't value science, but they're making scientific claims. It's just, everyone believes this, bro. I'm going to literally lose my mind. If you believe in evolution, you literally have no reason in logic to believe that this was artificially manufactured. If it was, you would see an optimized genetic sequence for human infection. We don't. We see one more akin to the evolutionary pathways of coronavirus. We see one 96% similar to what we find in bats. Case closed. Science is not that hard.
COVID-19, which was originally said to have started in a wet market 1 mile from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where it later transpired they were testing new coronaviruses. You think it is more likely it started with a bat in the wet market next door than it started in the lab where they're literally testing new coronaviruses? You think that's a mad conspiracy? Because I would say the mad conspiracy is that it's the bat a mile away.
I'm gonna go with the wet market that was 30 minutes away in a densely populated city where all of the first cases started.
It's
Probably
less than a mile
that
away.
came from there.
Sponsored by the Chinese Communist Party. I'm just curious.
30 minutes away. Chinese Communist Party. Sir, you are an absolute idiot. I can't believe you would say that.
Like, is it like when you do your show, like
just
to be clear, just to be clear,
it's funny that you say it's funny that you say Communist Party, right? Just to be clear, the residents of Kerr County for the floods that we were just discussing rejected utilizing ARPA funds for years to put up. It's so funny. Ted Cruz talked about an emergency siren system. They didn't want to use money from the Biden administration because of all of these crazy conspiracy.
I can't. I'm genuinely getting triggered listening to this. It's frustrating that people can be so blinded by wanting to be right, confirmation bias, that they will take any bone they are given and never let it go. The fact that they said it's plausible is confirmation to these people. I'm convinced that's what it is. Now let's just run through these in the scientific method in a very Karl Popper manner with a falsifiable hypothesis grounded in empirical data and observational science to reach a conclusion. And you tell me which one makes more sense. First one, COVID came from nature. This is supported empirically through, again, unoptimized genetic sequence that mirrors the normal evolutionary pathways for coronavirus, the codon usage, the binding affinities, similar genetic features appearing similar to others that are naturally selected, but not similar in any means or way to those that are artificially selected. Observationally, through environmental samples in the market's animal stalls, genetic analysis showing multiple spillovers, which is much more compatible with animal to human transmission than a single lab escape is, and the similarity to coronavirus in bats without the laboratory markings we would expect to see if this was engineered, like restriction sites, like cloning markers, and more. All of that points us so strongly in the direction of the hypothesis of natural origin of COVID being true that it is like overwhelmingly stupid to deny that because so the market was 30 minutes from this lab and they were doing research. Like the other hypothesis is COVID came from a lab. The evidence is, well, you gotta be dumb if you think that it would actually come from a market. The lab was right there, the Chinese communism. Like, you tell me which sounds more believable, grounded in evidence, scientific, or real.